Okay, let's cross to Washington. We can actually speak to author and columnist for Newsday, Dan Raviv. There he is. Hi, Dan. Tell us what you think we're actually looking at here as far as voter turnout is concerned. You know, we've talked about early voter turnout breaking records, but what about overall voter turnout? Is this historic?
It's a bit of a mystery how it will turn out today because, as we've heard, nearly 100 million Americans already voted before this day, Election Day, November 3rd. That's mainly because of the coronavirus. People were afraid to show up on November 3rd. And so almost every state made it easier to get an absentee ballot or a mail-in ballot. And people either mailed them in or delivered them. So how many are going to turn up today? I mean, so far, it appears that 90% of the 137 million people who voted 4 years ago have already voted or are on their way to do it this morning, our time. But will it add up to even more? And then who does that help? A lot of pundits think it would help the Democrats. The Democrats are motivated to get rid of Donald Trump. The Republicans say not so. Look at Trump's big outdoor rallies, as many as 5 a day in recent days. They say there's great enthusiasm for him, Andrea.
Right. Well, if the numbers are at least significantly higher than 2016, we could at least maybe applaud an end, arguably, to voter apathy in some way, shape, or form. But listen, let's look at something else. You know, before we were talking about, you know, the issues voters might be considering, particularly, we'd said before, in the suburbs. Among many issues, some would say the coronavirus really is front and center. How do you think that's playing out today?
Yeah, COVID-19 has to be front and center because about 230,000 Americans have died this year. The Trump administration is downplaying it. The president says he did a terrific job, that at least 2 million would have died if he had failed. So he claims to be a success. Democrats, led by Joe Biden, say that's not true. They vow to do better, and they warn Americans that we're about to go through a tough period. Now, you mentioned the suburbs. That's a question as to whether those areas around America's cities feel safe. Do they feel safer and more prosperous under Donald Trump? Or do they think Trump has been a failure? We'll definitely be looking for that. In general, here are the issues as laid out in several opinion polls. Voters said if they're for Trump, the main thing they want to do is stop Joe Biden and the socialists in the Democratic Party. But if you're for Biden, you want to get rid of Donald Trump because you think he's been vulgar and outrageous and has made this country more divided.
Okay, Dan, what about the actual vote count? We have votes that have been casted early but in person. We have votes that have been sent in by mail. Voters coming in today, whose votes are guaranteed, you know, to be counted, and whom are there fears for that they might find themselves disenfranchised?
Well, if votes were delivered into a box that might have been set up by a local county or perhaps a drive-through voting center, when there could be legal challenges. In Texas, the Republican Party, Trump's party, challenged 127,000 votes that had been cast by people in their cars. They said that's not proper. That's not the way it's supposed to be. But you know what? A court ruled against them. So those votes will be counted. We do expect even more legal challenges. So we wonder if this process will take days unless it's a big victory for either Biden or Trump. In the first hour of counting, when some of the polling places close at 7 p.m. Eastern time, we may start seeing some results that'll be significant. Look for states like Ohio, North Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. They all closed pretty early. They all went to Donald Trump 4 years ago. If they look like they're going to Biden, then the Democrats are going to feel very good, even early in the evening.
Okay, Dan Raviv, thank you so much for joining us as always, live there from D.C.